Well, good evening, everybody. We have a new thing going to be on Saturday. I am now taking over Scott House of HO, and the El Supremo Brian Young is going to do a show because everybody wants to listen to me because Scott has the tendency to over pontificate, and so they want to listen to me more than Scott does. Okay, so we are going to do an hour. It's going to be an hour show. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so we have Scott. Where's Scott? We got to get Scott in here. And we got Adam. There we go. We got Scott and we have Adam, all three of us. And we are going to have a conversation. We're just going to have a conversation. And this conversation, and then when we're done with this, I want the link sent to me because I'm going to then forward it to Autoworld, so they have a record of what we've talked about the amp chassis. Okay, so we're just going to have a conversation for 1 hour about the amp chassis, and who wants to start? You want me to start?
Well, I'm writing a note down right now, Brian. My first note is this is going to be 1 hour. So that's my first note.
Okay, so
1 hour.
Okay, so let me give everybody kind of an update on why the amp chassis is coming out. Okay, now there's several reasons. You know, new product. You have to have new product. You always kind of have to innovate. You always have to think of new ideas. Okay. And the amp chassis is that new idea. You know, they want to take something out of the box and they want to create something new. Okay. And when you're constantly evolving and bringing new product out, you're going to get new customers. Okay. Now, another reason the amp chassis, they want to try to lower the cost of making a chassis. Okay. Because when you're doing an extraction chassis, it's a pancake motor, and therefore you have lots of parts that have to be hand put together. And if they can reduce that and just do an amp chassis where you just take the motor and stick it in there and boom, you're done, then you've just saved a lot of cost in the motor. Okay. Now, some people don't like the motor. Some people do. Now people are finding out that if you just take all this electronic off and just do direct wiring to the motor, it's 25% faster. Okay. Listen, just so everybody knows, I've been doing this since 1996. Okay. 1996, most of your slot cars didn't have any resistors or any capacitors. It was just direct wire. Okay. On most of them. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, FCC got involved and they started putting all these capacitors and these resistors and these electronics. That it all adds cost, okay? And especially if you're doing wiring or you're doing lighting, you're adding cost to the car, okay? Now, a lot of this, you know, for me, I mean, I would just get rid of this thing altogether. Now, because of I think outdated. See, here's the issue: is that 20 years ago, everything was analog. You watched your TV, it was all analog, okay? It was all analog. It was received UVF or UFF. Now it's all digital. And so I don't think there is much interference with digital as you did with analog. So like if you were in your house and you turned on your blender, that would affect your TV, okay? I don't think you have that nowadays. Just, you know, based on technology and advancements. And I think that's why a lot of this electronic stuff is on these chassis. Like, for example, so this is the Thunderjet. Well, the Thunderjet motor is just way too big. We're going to talk about this. The Thunderjet motor is way too big. Okay. It drops down too low on the chassis, which catches the track. So we're going to go over, well, that's 4-gear. I'm sorry, that's extraction. So we're going to go over all these different aspects of the chassis. Now, I just had this chassis and I moved this motor and the solder just came off. The solder to the resistor came off. And so now this one won't work because I'm going to take all the circuits off to these. I want to see how these things run without any of this electronics. Okay. So that's kind of what the amp chassis is all about right now. And we're just going to have a conversation. We're going to have Scott talk about what he's feeling about the cars and a little bit of Adam. And then we'll just kind of go back and forth and just yap and talk about what the positive and negative things about the car is. And the thing that you have to really realize and understand is everybody has an opinion. Okay. Some will like the chassis and some will don't, but we cannot be basically putting the thumb on people that don't like the chassis or people that love the chassis and people that hate the chassis. Okay. That's the game. Okay. Is we have to be open and it's just like, baseball or NASCAR. Do you like Jeff Gordon? Did you like Jeff Gordon at one time? Who was your favorite driver? Okay. I remember going to my first NASCAR race when I was with SCX back in 2009. We're sitting up on the line, like 20 feet from the track. Every time those cars go, oh my gosh, we had to have this special helmet. Every time Tony Stewart would drive by, everybody that was sitting next to me down the row there, they'd stand up, put their middle finger up and say, F you. I'm telling you, every time he drove by, they all stood up and they went, put their hands up, middle fingers up and went, F you. I'm telling you, holy cow. So anyway, so that's my pontification. I talked for 5 minutes, I think. So what do you guys think? So what do you think of what I just said? Now, everybody agrees with me. I know that because everybody thinks I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so am I by myself? What happened to everybody? Huh? What do you think?
Scott?
Yes, I'm done. I'll stop talking for a little bit.
All right. So I think that obviously you hit the nail on the head with the Thunderjet, with the body or the motor being too low in the chassis. It sits too low. No bodies fit on that chassis because of that motor. So it's useless at that point. I've had really good success with the extraction amp chassis. I haven't had any soldering issues or anything like that. Just swapping out some tires, just putting some regular gel claws on it, actually made that car go around pretty well on my track. But the 4-gear, I just started running it, and we found out that you have to remove the hub to allow any 4-gear body to fit on that. And some people might not know that, might not know how to do that. So that's kind of we give that thumbs down on that because we're trying to get people into the hobby, and they might not know. So, but Brian's just showing how right now how to do it.
There's 3 holes.
There's 3 holes in the front, just like a Thunderjet.
Yep.
And you just pull it out and then switch it, and that can fix it. I haven't personally had any issues with the shoes coming off, but I know other people have. So they need to come up with an idea with that. I know Scott.
Well, we told Autoworld about that. So Autoworld knows about the shoes coming off. Right. They know about the soldering issues. We let them know about the Thunderjets, where the Thunderjets will not put any bodies on them. The motors are too big for Thunderjets.
Right.
And the circuitry, the wiring, it's questionable about the wiring. We've told them about that. So we have let them know about a lot of the issues that they're having right now. So a lot of this is going to be fixed in progression.
Right. And I honestly think they're going to have to make the motor smaller, no matter what scale, what chassis it goes into, because it's going to be an issue. It looks like on fitment of bodies, whether it's two
Well,
jet extraction or 4 year. So, but Scott, you can segue into whatever you want to go into.
well,
Oh no, I'm trying to figure out. I've got a bad echo on my side, so I'm trying to figure out which way I can listen to it without the echo.
so here is a AFX motor. Okay, all right, that's their motor, and this is Autoworld's motor. Okay, now these motors they're producing the same power. Okay, just because your motor is smaller doesn't mean it's not producing power. Matter of fact, I've got motors. I'm going to go get a couple of them.
Well, I know the AMP chassis is more powerful than the Mega G Plus chassis. We put that on a dyno, and it's quite a bit of difference, right, Scott? I believe Mark did that. Sorry, I'm chewing on ice. But Mark's Slot Car Garage, he put it the amp, and I believe it was doing enriched it to a 3.50. And we were at like a 2.5 or 2.6 with the Mega G Plus cam motor. So there is a difference in power. So if they could knock that down to be similar to the AFX, that's fine as long as the bodies can fit. Right, Randy, bulky cam motor. It is big. It does. I like the extraction, but if it can't fit bodies, who cares then, right? So, did you figure your end out, Scott? I had to mute
I can hear you. Yeah, no, I'm just working through I had to turn down the volume on my computer so I could actually hear.
Yeah, I had.
If I go off the work computer, the lag delay between you two is too much.
Yeah, I just use the volume from my phone that's recording, and then I mute my TV that I'm watching. So, but I don't know where.
Yeah, I'm using the audio from the computer, but it's picking up the me talking and you guys talking on my camera.
I understand. I see.
And so I get an echo. I hear everything twice.
Yeah, I mean, if you look,
but no, I agree with everything that you and Brian have said. I'm not going to beat a dead horse,
right?
But the motor is way too big for anything but a 4-gear type chassis, in my opinion.
Here's a Mega G Plus, and then here's the cam motor. It's like it's big brother. It's just way too big. But I mean, it's if you're not running a body, it's fun. But no one does that. So
look at the size of that motor. Okay, so that motor, this is a Race Masters motor. Check this motor out. Okay, and then you have Autoworld motor. Now they're going. We've already told them about this, so they're already thinking. They're already talking about it. They're already doing research. Matter of fact, Richard's going back to China, and I think in a couple weeks. So there's a lot of things that are going to be happening. But the one thing I think people have to be open to. They have to be open to that. Hey, this is the first production. We are giving them input, and they're taking our input and they're implementing it. Okay, so there's a lot of fun things that are going to happen, I think, over the next couple months. I think they're just going to get better and better. Okay, I think we have to hear. I think we have to be. You have to step back, I think, sometimes and not be so judgmental, I think, and start tearing something down before they've even had a chance to, do the research and everything and the testing and at least the customers racing it,
Right.
And they're listening to us. I think that's an important thing, is that they want to hear from us. Okay. And That's very important. Richard wants to hear from us. He and Scott wants to hear from us. They don't want us to, they don't want us to be, oh, well, we're not going to tell them about this. They want to hear it because obviously they want to sell more and they want to fix these issues and get them so they, more people want to buy them. Okay. Now, everybody knows I love the Thunderjet chassis. Okay. I like the pancake motor. And you know what Daniel said about that? He said, Dad, what's funny is that a lot of us will be here on race night and we're all taking our cars apart. We're all putting them together. It's part of the fun. Guys, it's called gear porn. Okay. I don't know if you guys hear about I don't like to use the word porn, but it's called gear porn. Guys like to it's kind of like that new TV series that's what's his name's got out called Shifting Gears,
Oh yeah.
That's why Tim Allen was so popular with Home Improvement, because it's all about, playing around with stuff, gear stuff. If it's a a new staple, it's like a new stapler. My fun little gadget that I walk around with now is my Milwaukee little light. Okay. Why do I wear this? I don't know. It's gear. This is called gear porn right here.
Yeah, you always got that thing.
I always got it. But you know what? When you go into, it's, the worst thing I do is going into Harbor Freight. Like, do I need to really buy anything in Harbor Freight? No. But whenever I go there, I spend $70, $80. Okay.
Like Chick-fil-A.
And I'm just looking for something. Oh, I don't have that. And so I have a shed filled with stuff that I don't really need. And that's what Daniel was saying.
Well, I'm just happy that they're wanting to hear from the consumer. I know we've all kind of reached out to AFX in our own ways, many channels, many people, and they just keep doing the same thing what they're doing. They're doing a good job, AFX, but it's nice that Autoworld is investing in something different and listening to the consumer.
Right. Now, the only and they have to do it now before they do any more they have to make these changes on these chassis before they've got to get it fixed sooner rather than later, because they don't want to keep making these they don't want to keep making these chassis if they've got issues.
Yep.
I would say the chassis that has the least amount of problems, I would say, would be the 4-gear. Would you agree with me? The 4-gear is probably the most.
I like the extraction, but I have not had an issue with the extraction. And the 4-gear, I think, is kind of going to be in the similar thing. But I know we don't like the placement of the wiring over the axle.
No, that's a mistake. That's a mistake.
Yep. Right, Scott? What do you think?
Is he still trying to figure out his?
That's like you just witnessed right there. You just barely moved that motor and it snapped the solder.
Yep.
So I mean,
right. So my motor
that's never played with a car before. They grab it because the body popped off of when they crash, and if that chassis hits something the wrong way, it's dead.
Yep.
And the chassis. These chassis are really stiff. Some people like that, and some people don't.
Well, they don't like the axle. They don't want the axle moving back and forth.
Nope, I know that. Yep. See, one of the guys, he tested one of it in the chat, Mark Slot Car Garage, and he likes he said the 4-gear is going to be better than the extraction. It's just he thinks it's a better chassis, I think, anyways. But he's a big Autoworld guy, Mark, so.
Yeah, he's our Autoworld king.
Expert, yep. Autoworld expert is what we call him.
Well, I mean, if you really look at, so this is an extraction chassis. So, I mean, let's just let's just do a basic analysis. So, I mean, the first part that we have on an extraction chassis is so we have to make the clip. Okay, so that's the first part that has to be made is the clip. All right.
Yep.
Now the next part you've got is you have the or the armature. Okay. Now this also has 4 parts. Okay. Okay. You have the gears. Okay. The armature, the chassis, or the armature holder, and then you have 2 more gears. Okay. So those are more parts that have to be manufactured. So that's adding the cost. Okay. And then you've got your wonderful commutators, or as my Fish would say, I call them communicators, because they're communicating the electricity to the armature. Okay. Then you have the springs. You have the springs. I don't know if you can see that. You have the springs that are touching the commutators. All right. And then you have the magnets. Okay. You got the 2 magnets. All right. So you have all these parts. Okay. Now that a lot of people like that. I like that. I like parts. I like building my car. I like building it from scratch. Okay. And but when you look at the amp chassis, okay, there's the chassis, and then you have the motor. That's it. It's only one part. Okay. Now you could say, well, Brian, there are many parts that make that motor. No, because they're buying it. These motors are made complete. Okay. So there's no human involvement in these motors. They're made in a factory, all by little computers or machines and everything. And so it's one part. You're buying, you're saying, okay, I'm paying 0.5 cents for these motors. Maybe 7 cents, maybe 10 cents. I don't think they're more than that. And so you're buying that whole motor. Okay. And it takes them, I don't know if it takes them the same amount of time to solder that. I can't imagine that, that they can do all this in the same amount of time. There probably are. But they're probably looking at all the parts and saying, you know what? Let's just have another chassis, but we won't do the pancake motor. Now, and I asked them this about a month ago. I said, you can go back down to multiple cameras now. I asked them this. Are you sure you're not going to be getting rid of the pancake motor? No, they said to us, no, we are not getting rid of the pancake motors. Well, for one reason, Hobby Lobby loves those pancake motors. Okay, so you can't screw the goose if you decided to do. Oh, and today's episode is sponsored by Coca-Cola. I don't have any pizza because nobody bought me a pizza tonight. So now, if somebody wants to buy a pizza at P&L Pizza, I'll have somebody go get it and bring it to me. Okay, so if somebody wants to buy me a pizza, now Dennis, I need to reach out to Dennis, because I don't know who these guys are, but do you know who Thomas Grimm is?
I do not.
Because he's a live, somebody said he does a live stream or something. The Daily Grimm podcast. He bought me a pizza. You know what's so funny? Ad has been watching for 4 years. He's never bought me a pizza. Snuggles
I bought you lunch several times at the country farmhouse.
I don't think
I
so.
started that.
No, I don't think you bought me a lunch at Country Farmhouse.
Oh, all the time.
All the time?
And then Ted did it, and then I think Rod Rodriguez has done it.
I don't know. I'm going to have to do some back research, okay?
Oh, my sister-in-law is here, so I had to go. she ordered pizza and picking up from my house. So
My guess, Mark, is they don't know yet until they hit a final production number.
Correct.
But Brian would
Correct.
be the better person to answer that question.
What
The
questions
cost?
did he have? What will the cost of the amp be compared to the extraction? Well, so I'm not an expert, but I've been down that road with being with SCX and with Scale Electric, is that the cost is not necessarily how do I want to put it? It's many factors, because you're having 5 or 6 people build a Thunderjet chassis, but you're really only having one person do an amp chassis. So I would say you're about a 20 to 30% price difference in the amp chassis, I think. Now that I might be wrong, okay, but
But
you know,
they're going to price them that much cheaper. Are they just doing it to increase the profit spread?
well, yeah, because they want to try to get a set into Walmart. Okay. See, here's what, and I've said this a million times. I know some people hate when I say this. If they get it, okay. If they would ever put a set in Walmart,
Oh,
okay, let me just be very clear with people.
yeah.
If they ever put a set in Walmart, it is going to explode the hobby.
You don't want it?
And
Thank you.
I do 1,000 cars. That's how many people live in Wayne, is 1,000 people. Okay.
Wow.
So if people think that 1,000 cars is a lot of cars to do, no, I'm sorry, it's not. I remember, matter of fact, Kim and I were talking before we went to Gatlinburg. I stopped and gave her some cash for stuff that we've been selling for her. And we were talking about when we were going through her warehouse on Montgomery Road, that we were clearing it out. And she came to me, and I was taking van loads of product back to the shed. I mean, literally van loads every week. I mean, it was sickening. And she came to me one day and she goes, "Oh, Brian," she was so excited. She goes, "Oh, Brian, look what I found." And I go, "What did you find, Kim?" And she brings a box of 500 black 55 Bel Airs with the vibrator chassis. Okay. Brand new, still wrapped in the plastic or the little tissue paper. Okay. And then the week later, she found me a case of 400 of the MPC police cruisers for Canada. I was selling those so fast. Matter of fact, people were upset with me because I was selling them for like $100 a piece. But those have all gone up in price now, because those are all gone. And now they're, all these new people are jumping into the hobby.
Yeah.
And so the goal is to get a set into Walmart. And I'm just telling you right now,
that's the best thing that could happen is to get into a major retail outlet, in my opinion. Not Hobby Lobby, but I'm talking like, Walmart, Target, Costco.
So we sold 250,000 sets in 2008 and 250,000, I think, in 2009 of the compact sets. Okay.
Wow.
And that was just, compact 143rd. And I'm still getting, and this shows you the reach of that amount of product, is I'm still getting people that will call me because my name and my number is on that box. So if you bought a set, okay, in 2008 or 9, and you open up the instructions, it says 1-800-877-729-2099. So, and that number now goes to ProTinkerToys.com. So, everybody that bought that set, okay, and they called for tech support, I have all the product for it, so, and so that's why the AMP chassis, people have to give the AMP chassis some time. Don't necessarily come out and just nail it. Okay. Is the AMP chassis let's see, is the AMP still in prototype, or is it that? Yeah, it's still in prototype.
That's still a prototype from my understanding, Mark. And
Yes.
that's the beauty of this, is they're actually taking the input that everybody's given them and trying to make something that they can work with, that'll work for what their goal is and what the people that are already in the hobbies, expectations are. So trying to meet both worlds is what I'm trying to see here. And I can kind of tell, just by the basic chassis design, you can tell it's not like a finished product. It looks like a demo to me.
And Mark did the guy that asked the question, Brian, he did a pretty thorough review on it too. He tested the strength of the magnets. He tested the motor on the dyno. He has a routed track, so he ran it on a routed track. And he said in the comments there that ran better than any extraction chassis he's ever had.
Well, but see, that's what a cam motor is. Okay. Yep. I mean, you can knock cam motors. Some people like cam motors. Some people don't, because you can't really fix a cam motor.
Right.
All of 1/32 are cam motors.
Right.
They've always been that until, so Scale Electric, even Scale Electric, the 1970 Scale Electric, like for example, the Arden cars, all your Arden cars had like it's kind of like a cam motor, but it's still a motor you could take apart, okay, and rewind it if you want. But 90% of your 1/32 are cam motors, and they really started to do all those in the 1980s. And then they went full bore in the 1980s, and then the 1990 Scale Electric was all cam. It was a Hobbyist motor. It was the standard Hobbyist motor in every chat. Let me go get one.
Exactly, dude. That's exactly what we're talking about right there, and that's why they're doing it. Is like he was mentioning about the less movable parts, and also to make it more kid friendly, so when they crash, not as much stuff flies off or it doesn't break, so they can keep playing with it.
So this was a standard, and this shows you, and this goes back, and I don't want to get into political, but people talk about NAFTA or all these tariffs. Well, this is how screwed up our world is now. This car right here wasn't, and we sell these, the Mitsubishi. This is a red car, actually. We sell these. This car back in 1995 was made in Great Britain.
Wow.
Okay. So this car says right here, made in Great Britain. See that where it says made in Great Britain? So this was made in Great Britain. This was your standard Hobbyist motor in every single car that was made in the 90s, even all in most of your Flies, Ninkos. That was your standard motor always. Now they would change it. Now Scale Elect or SCX, they had their cam motor. Was their RX motor, and the RXB 42 was their fastest motor, and that was about 32,000 RPMs. But their cam motor was designed a little different. You see how that cam motor is a little different than this motor? See the difference? But it's kind of the same size, but you could do some modification to this, because people do modify those motors right there. The RX, those are called the RX motors. So, by them doing these cam motors, that just evolves the market.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's what it's all about. Is you got to keep evolving, and I like the fact that they just didn't dive in with both feet and were stuck with it. They decided to test the water, see what improvements could be made, and then reach out to the people, that actually are going to be using it, and then try to make one that, like he said, trying to get it into Walmart. That's I've always said, if you get it mainstream in a big store, then that's going to explode the market enough to where other manufacturers, also known as Mattel, will maybe think about trying to get back into it. So I don't think it's anything but a positive that Autoworld's taking this step for the hobby.
And getting back to making cars. So, and this is where I hate people say, well, you can't do that nowadays. You can't do that. It's impossible. And I tell people, that's it. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear the one word. I don't want to hear the word can't. I really hate that word can't. They made this car in Great Britain in the 90s. Okay. All of their 132nd cars by SCS or Scale Electric was made in Great Britain, and a lot of your SCX were made in Japan or in Spain. So when people tell me, well, we can't do them in America, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if things start to, honestly, I would pay 20% more. I would. That's just me, because I'm tired of buying junk. Okay. I would pay 20% more if I knew that it was made in America, because I think the quality would have been better. Now, that's not saying that all American manufacturers, I mean, we had Ford, in the 70s, it was making absolutely garbage cars. Okay. We agree that everybody was making junk in the 70s. Okay.
Well, I mean, and everywhere though, like Scott, give the example of opening up a Tyco that's 30 years old compared to, it would knock the socks off of something that's built today, a Mega G Plus or Autoworld.
What now? Say that. Repeat that.
Can you hear me, Scott?
Yeah, I can hear you. No, Brian was asking you to repeat it.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
No. What was Scott going to comment?
I was going to say, Scott, give that example we talk about a lot when you say you open up a Tyco that's out of its package is 30 years old. Things were just built better back then, no matter where it was.
Well, see, and those were made, a lot of that stuff was made in Hong Kong too.
Right, Hong Kong. Scott did say that.
See, and that's the big difference. See, people don't realize that, yes, it was made in Hong Kong. It was because of costs and everything. But when they started making stuff in China, the quality, it's kind of like this. So Hong Kong, you were like this. And when it started making in China, the quality just went like this. Because, and believe me, I've been in the business, the toy business, all through the 2000s. I started with Irwin Toy, and Thomas the Tank got in big trouble because the Chinese, if you don't watch and we had this with SCX too, if you don't watch the Chinese on every aspect of your manufacturing, they will put, if they have let's say they have a box of metal, okay, that is inferior, okay, it's got issues, they'll just say, hey, let's use this. They won't know. Shh, let's just use that. Or if they got some bad plastic, believe me, there's a lot of bad plastic in China. Okay. Hey, we got this bad plastic. Don't worry. They don't worry about it. Let's put some good plastic in with the bad plastic, and let's just use that plastic. They don't care. They don't care. And that's why a lot of your Thomas got in trouble because they were using lead paint.
Oh my God, no way.
Oh yeah, this came out in like 2005 or 6. They were using red paint on the Thomas the train engines because it was just paint sitting around. They said they won't notice it.
That's
I'm
funny.
just saying, and so you're and unless the Chinese, okay, are being watched every aspect of the day, they will get it. They will try to cheat. Well, they're just finding out. I don't know if you guys realized about the big earthquake that was in Malamar. Okay. And the only building that fell over, guess where it was guess where it was designed and built from? Chinese. Okay. It was the only skyscraper that fell apart because they use inferior metals. Okay. Inferior concrete. Okay. Listen, half the stuff they're made is, that's why if people are worried about China, don't be worried. Don't be worried about the Chinese military. Okay. That's the last thing I worry about is the Chinese military. Okay. The last thing I worry about is the Chinese military. In the Persian Gulf War, everybody was worried about, the Persian Gulf War. I said, and I said to myself, because I was in supply in the Navy. By the way, I was in the Navy. I was on submarines. I said to myself, I was telling everybody, oh, this war is going to be over in two days. What do you mean? I go, listen, I was in supply. Okay. You don't bury a tank in the sand and expect it to work. Okay. And the Iranians, the Iraqis were burying all their tanks. I'm thinking, that's not going to work very well in the desert, burying your tank. Okay. How are you going to fix the thing? We were blowing these things up faster than they could bury them. Matter of fact, we were just burying them for them. Hey, oh, you want to bury your tank? Okay, we'll help you. So, slot cars are no different than a tank. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll segue into people were burying the amp chassis right away, and
yes.
Like you said, it's a new thing, and we have to it's gonna evolve. It's gonna get better. So
it is going to evolve. Yes. So who is SBS Slot Cars? I was there on the Iwo Jima. All right, go Navy. That's right. Submarines, though, baby. I had a guy come in yesterday. He was on submarines. He was a nuke, and he was on submarines in 1980. He was on the Poke, I think he said a couple, and those were the older nuke submarines.
That's Monty. SBS is Monty.
Monty. Oh, well, Monty. I have
Slugbug Slots.
Oh, Slugbug Slots. Oh, I like that name. Kenton, I have this tablet and I don't know how to do that. Rich, Slot Car Room did wonder with his amp chassis.
Yeah, he put an LED light bulb on it.
Oh, yeah, you can. Well, here's what you do is we sell the HP7 tune-up kits, and you can get a light in that, and you can put them on all these amp chassis or any chassis. All you have to do is the HP7 tune-up kit. They're available at ProTinker. I don't know if you guys know about ProTinkerToys.com. If I haven't told you, it's ProTinkerToys.com. All right. And if I haven't told you yet, it's ProTinkerToys.com. HP7 tune-up kits comes with a little light. Okay. So if you haven't heard that yet, it's ProTinkerToys.com. But anyways, Scott hasn't said that yet, so I thought I would mention it. Any other comments there, people? Scott used to be reading some of these comments. Model railroading. I can't believe Scott's not reading these comments. I've never owned a cell phone, but I'll give it a try. Okay, John. So here's the deal.
This is what he's talking about.
Yes, that's it right there. HP7 tune-up kits. Now, John, listen to me, okay? I want you to listen to me, John. All you have to do is go to Sprint or go to T-Mobile or AT&T. Go in there and say, I want to get a smartphone. All right. Listen, they will spend hours. They will spend hours with you because they're geeks, and they would spend hours with you showing every aspect of that phone. Okay. So I am Brian. Okay, John. Okay. So John's going to go do that. All right. If you run above 16, 18 volts of higher LEDs won't last. No, you're right about that. You don't want to you don't want to be too high on the amperage on your lights. Okay. I bought a few cars from you this week, Brian. Oh, SBS. Thank you. And that's our club car right there. Adam's showing our club car. Viper scale. It's all Brian, American made. No, it's not American made. The parts are made in China. The parts are not all made in America. Okay, everybody? Not everything is made in America.
No, Randy, they're not.
Now the parts are made, but they're manufactured like Super 7. So here's a Super 7 chassis by what's his name down in Florida. He bought all the
Terry Flynn.
Terry Flynn. So like he is very anal about he has to put these together, okay? And a lot of these guys are, they have to be made by me. I have to put them together because I want to make sure every car is perfect. I get that. I understand that. But your costs are going to be 5 times higher than if we get a extraction. Okay. You can get a TFX chassis like this. That's perfect. Literally, they're perfect. Okay. A TFX chassis, a Thunderjet TFX chassis is perfect. Wouldn't you agree, guys?
Oh yeah, they're great. Got one right here.
Okay, so, but your cost on that. So what were you showing there, Scott's of House of HO Slot Car Racing? Show us what you're showing.
Showing that the extraction chassis there, and then that's the new amp chassis underneath the Mustang body.
Yeah, that's sweet. Yes, that is sweet. That's such much beauty. I just think that's so much beauty. It's just I could cry. You know what I mean? Isn't it fun? Isn't this whole hobby fun?
It is. That's why we're doing it.
That's why we're doing it. We're trying to keep it happy. We want to make sure everybody's happy. Okay.
And then tell them about the big show here this month in Ohio. If anybody's close by.
Oh yeah, we got the Cleveland Hobby Show in Cleveland, Ohio. The new location.
It's in Alliance.
It's near Cleveland, so be quiet.
It's
and
it's near Youngstown.
We're gonna be there Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday for 3 days. I'm gonna bring my camper. I'm gonna be making breakfast Saturday morning, pancakes and bacon.
And then we'll race Saturday, and then the show is Sunday. And then they do an auction.
Yeah, they're going to have an auction Sunday night.
Saturday night.
Why do you have to keep interrupting me?
Well, you're not accurate.
Are you telling me that I'm wrong?
Most of the time, yes.
What is your problem, Adam? Have I done something to offend you, Adam?
Not in the 6 years so far.
So, could you tell us what stress you're under a lot of lately?
Well, Brianna's cooking hasn't been, it's finally catching up to me after 17 years.
Really?
My sister-in-law brought me some pizza down.
Yes, dude, they are. We discussed that earlier. For example, the one that they did with the Ford gear has 3 separate holes. And
just
then
like
Brian was showing earlier that you can twist the hub off and move it to whichever hole you want to try to accommodate your body.
I'll show you here. All you have to do is you take your tires off. Okay, all you do is you hold both rims. You just turn them a little bit. Okay, that's the wrong one. Okay, where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay, so you just turn your rim. Turn one of the rims. Okay, see that comes off? I got the rim right here, and then you just pull it out, and then you put it. There's 3 different holes, and you put it wherever you want it. If you want it closer or further away, like the Mustang, I think is closer, where your large is like your your pickup
Right in the
truck,
middle.
you about middle, and your smaller bodies are going to want to move all the way forward. And then you just put the tires back on and you're all ready to go. Almost there. Keep moving for 1 minute to make progress towards your standard goal. What the heck? Unbelievable. Today I walked 532 steps.
That's not very many, Brian.
5,000 steps.
Oh, no, that's not really that much. That's about a mile.
It says 2.6 miles.
That's not that far.
Oh, I'm sorry, Adam.
That's a lot of back and forth to the fridge.
I'm sorry. That's really funny, Adam. Thanks, Chris. Thanks a lot, Chris. Boy, you guys are just.
When Brian starts talking about food, that means he's feeling like himself. Yeah,
You're welcome, John.
That is a good point.
What is?
That you're feeling better.
Yeah, sometimes I get a little dizzy here and there. I don't think that's ever going to go away, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, hitting my head on there, I tell you, that was the scariest thing I ever. Even hitting my airplane to the highway, that was scary. But this was the scariest thing. Maybe because I'm 65 and I smacked my head like I was some dumb doll. You know what I mean? I mean, when I hit that tree when I was 21 flying that airplane, you know, I thought I was dead. I said, Brian, you're dead. And I'm diving that airplane right into the. I hit that airplane, my ultralight. I hit the tree. This is the tree. I hit that tree with my left wing, and I said, I'm dead. I'm dead. And I hit the road, and the bus driver was coming up the highway. He said, "You look like a fly hitting the highway. I thought you were dead." And I stood up. I had an instant migraine. I stood up and I go like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I survived that."
Well, Scott, I think we did a good job going over.
Was that a good show? How many people did we have, Scott?
There's
5
40 here right now.
5?
No, there's 40
Well,
here
it
right
looks
now.
like we bounced. I think the most we had was like 45 at one time.
Wow, that's a great audience. Holy moly, we are just killing it.
That's pretty good for a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
No, it's going to get worse because of the weather.
Yeah, I know.
Of course, it's been raining nonstop here. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Scott's dealing with this. He gets it before we do.
No, oh, really, Adam? I would have never thought that. Now, everybody, you got to make sure that you get, because Daniel's going to be sending out the list because I'm going to be going on a road trip.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to be visiting everybody that wants me to come to their house. And this is going to be a big deal. Okay. I mean, it's going to rock and roll, baby. Rock and roll.
I'd like you to go to the Mark Ferguson's house. That would be interesting.
Where's Mark Ferguson?
Florida.
Oh yeah. I like to go to Scott House of HO. He didn't talk too much today. Normally on his thing, he talks.
He'll break out some of his custom Thunder Jets for you.
Yeah, and also, what's his name that lives near my brother-in-law? He's got a ton of stuff. He wanted to sell a bunch of his
he's
stuff.
He's talking about Patrick.
Yeah.
Scott.
Come on, Scott. What's Scott doing? He hasn't talked at all. I was very disappointed in him tonight.
Mark said you're welcome anytime, Brian.
No, he just never talks. I thought he talks nonstop on his live stream, and I can't get him to say a word.
I'm advertising for the mayor. I'm like the sticker in your hallway there whenever you're doing your live show.
And I don't know if I can go to the mayor because I was kicked out of the mayor's place.
Not by the mayor though.
Not by the mayor. Not by Sweet Jane. Sweet Jane would never kick me out. Okay.
Yeah, I know, Tim.
Brian, Mark said you can come as long as you don't bring me.
Okay.
So, Yeah, Scott's gonna
John,
be
come
live
to
here
my
in an hour.
transmission shop so I can put you to work, Brian. Scott, Scott is low on Mountain Dew, so he must like to drink a lot of Mountain Dew then. Is that it? Oh, my guys, that's terrible for you. Don't you know that's urine water?
30 ingredients, orange juice.
Don't you know that's urine water there, Scott?
Well, it looks like it, but the 30 ingredients, orange juice.
We got 5 minutes. Let me give you my review. Brian Young is going to give my official review of Minecraft, the movie, okay? All right. So, number one, I've never played the game Minecraft, number one. All right. Number two, the movie was funny. I will admit it's funny. Now, I wasn't into Minecraft, so I didn't get all the audience literally went crazy throughout the whole movie. Anytime a new character or some special character or whatever came and had a cameo, the audience went nuts. Now, that's important for a movie because you will get residual sales and more people going to the movie. This movie is going to make billions, okay? This movie, and now I don't like Jeff Black anymore because he was a jerk a couple months ago. But anyways, the movie was funny, okay? I mean, I was laughing so loud on some of the scenes, the adult comment. I was laughing so loud, my side was hurting, okay? And it was so loud, the kids were clapping. I mean, the whole audience got into the movie. So if you want to take your kids to a movie that's exciting, number one, energizing, number two, and the kid will be involved in the movie and will be totally excited, you want to go see Minecraft.
I can't believe you're saying this.
I know that because I didn't, I've never played the game, but I have to at least give a positive credit where positive is due. It's well done, it's creative, and it's fun. Now, the only thing I heard
you say that about a movie.
The only thing I told David is, David, the movie's about Minecraft. What do you do in Minecraft? You build, right? You build things. Well, in the movie, there were two parts where they were supposed to, they built these houses, but they didn't show us them building them. And they could have done 10 or 15 seconds or maybe a minute of them speeding up, building their little houses they made. They didn't do any of that. And I thought that was a missed opportunity. Minecraft's all about building things, creating things. And they didn't do it. What's so fun? He is related to Jack Black. All righty. See you guys later.
All right, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you for joining in, Brian. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you for inviting me to your house, Scott. What's now? Good chat. Take care, all. See you. Is he related? Yeah. Okay. All right. Goodbye.
All right. See you guys. See you.
See the Slot Car Channel members here in about an hour and a half, actually about an hour and 15 minutes. And thank you to Brian for showing up. And it looks like Adam's already shutting down. So thank you everybody that showed up. We got a lot of good input. I think a lot of it they already know about. But I do want to say thank you to everybody that did show up. If you are a member on the channel, I do have the camera set up with the lap timer, and I'm going to start at 6 o'clock here in an hour. Yeah, 1 hour, and I'll do 15 minutes. And I have not ran any of these amp chassis. The only one I can't run is the Ultra G, but I do have the one that's the extraction, and I do have the 4-gear. And then I've got the scale set up so we can weigh them compared to a factory chassis, like the Magna Traction versus the extraction version, with the new amp. And then, like I said, I got the lap timer set up so we'll run factory laps real quick with each of those two chassis and see what they do on the timer. So should be a good time. If you're a member, I'll see you in about an hour. Thanks again for joining in, guys. See you in a little bit.